What's up, AtoZSports live on a Wednesday. The week rolls on. The Robert Saleh hire has still yet to be announced by the team. The Tennessee Titans are still set to hire Robert Saleh as the head coach, and the next move is the offensive coordinator move, and that's is it just as important as the head coach? Maybe, because Cam Ward's obviously a big deal here, and Robert Saleh being a defensive-minded head coach. The OC is something to watch, and the top candidate is off the board with Mike McDaniel naming his next move potentially last night. So we'll discuss the musical chairs around the coordinator board and the hot board for this search. Where can Robert Saleh go? Mike McDaniel's out, but Robert Saleh's connections do run deep. There's a lot of notable names that he could reach out to for a fit here. And we'll go through all of the different options. We'll see where we all stand with the top guy here, and then see how it keeps on playing out. It's kind of a wild deal. Like, we're sitting here like, all right, I mean, I guess when's the press conference going to be? Are they even going to announce it? Like, all this kind of stuff with Robert Saleh being the next head coach. So, JT, we will finally get to an end-of-show topic this week with some sports trivia, as we've been skipping it the last couple of days because of all the news of the Robert Saleh hire. So welcome in. Let's get this thing off and rolling. Welcome to the OC search. Let's do it.
Yes, it is going to be such a fun time. Robert Saleh was just the first step. You are absolutely right. There's an argument to be made that offensive coordinator is just as important here. And you are right. We are back to our normal show schedule. No more three persons unless something insane happened this week. Like they didn't come to terms with Robert. I'm not,
Yeah, if it falls through, like
disastrous. But yeah. Yes, we are back for sports trivia. No longer are we doing three-person shows where Easton can eat up all the time. That would go to a different segment at the end of the show, yapping. So good to be back here, having a clean, concise show that ends with some sports trivia with all of you guys this morning. I don't know about you, Austin. I'm doing fantastic on this Wednesday morning. Super excited to be here, getting through all the other top coordinator options that are on the board. But before we can get into all of that, need a couple things from you guys. First and foremost, if you are watching on YouTube, hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any of the content we're bringing you to the AtoZSports YouTube channel. It goes a long way in the algorithm to put this show on as many Titans fans feeds as possible. Before we get into anything else, I have to bring this up because he says already throwing shade. Like, we missed out.
Yeah, we missed it yesterday. So, yeah.
We missed. I have to throw a little bit of shade at Easton there. Also, if you are watching on Facebook, we need your help there. Hit the like button, like the show, like the page, and hit that share button. Share the show with a friend, a Titans fan in your life. Currently need to get that like button. Once again, we start off the show just a little cold on the like front on Facebook. Just about 30% of you have liked the show on Facebook. Need to get those numbers up. And with that, Austin, I almost called you Easton. Everyone's throwing shade on Easton right now. Austin, let's get into the show.
Let's do it officially. Welcome to AtoZSports here live on a Wednesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He's JT Runke. We're Nashville's on-demand sports network powered by BTA Sports. We go live every weekday morning at 8:10 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. You can hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. And also, as we've been saying, you should follow us on Google, and I will paste the link to the Google preferred source follow button right there, where you Google Titans OC search, and you will get Easton's hot board popped up because you followed AtoZSports on Google. He's also got a defensive coordinator hot board too. So then there's free agency, the draft. So make sure you do follow us because that is a big deal for everybody, right? Follow us on Google. Also got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you guys as well. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. They're local and online at bartondrury.com. And Window Nation, take advantage of that deal. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free for the month of January. Now you just have 11 days left including today. Jump on that. So winthenation.com for a free estimate. Boom. There you go. So OC interview. OC search is off and running. And the Titans are going to have to be patient, in my opinion. As Corey says, let's fumble this OC hire now, right? So Titans fans are already just preconditioned to be in traumatic responses of, oh, well, you got Robert Saleh. That's a good head coach hire. Now let's just screw it up by not getting a quality offensive coordinator. And look, I don't know if you want to have the argument or the conversation right now of, I guess it's equally as important. Robert Saleh's reasoning for being a head coach is because he is the leader CEO type that this organization needs to set a standard, hold people to that standard with accountability, discipline, and demanding. But he's also a defensive guy, and Cam Ward needs a play caller, coordinator, quarterback coach to help him continue to look like he did after the bye week and not look like he did before the bye week. And so the first shoe that drops, the John Harbaugh or the Lane Kiffin of the offensive coordinator searches, is Mike McDaniel, the very popular fan favorite option to pair with his buddy Robert Saleh here in Nashville. Will not happen. So this is from Adam Schefter last night. Mike McDaniel expected to become the Chargers offensive coordinator, barring a change of heart, per Jeff Darlington and Schefter. McDaniel has informed other teams that they're out. The Chargers clearly want him. The two sides having dinner last night, but the expectation across the league is that McDaniel will be staying in LA with the Chargers. Now, he's also a part of the search for the head coach job in Baltimore and Las Vegas. He removed his name from the head coach job in Cleveland. The other offensive coordinator jobs that were highly discussed for Mike McDaniel were here, and then the Philadelphia Eagles, who reportedly had a blank check for Mike McDaniel. Hey, how much you want? Here you go. Go for it. But JT, your thoughts on McDaniel picking the Chargers as Mike says McDaniel goes where the powder is. The powder blue, right? The powder blue in LA with the Chargers. And David says, I cannot believe Harbaugh hired McDaniel. We'll talk about the odd couple. Jim and Mike doing some weird stuff.
They certainly were.
Weird dudes, right? Different dudes.
This was pretty much set in stone yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, but did not realize that the Charger fandom had this many internet sleuths and eavesdroppers, because there were pictures being thrown around left and right of Jim Harbaugh, Mike McDaniel, and John Spanos sitting at like what apparently like a country club or something, having lunch yesterday. And at that moment when I saw that picture, I said, okay, it's kind of over. I assume he's going to the Chargers. Now, he does say he barring a change of heart, which essentially means getting the Ravens job, or the Raiders throw him an absolute bag to be their head coach. One of those two options. I don't think that's going to be super likely, but I mean, listen, if we have to give him credit once this morning, Easton was correct that it was a very interesting and intriguing job to Mike McDaniel. He's a guy that does predicate a lot of his success on the run. Certainly, if that offensive line can stay healthy, they are a premier threat in the AFC next year. Love what it does for Justin Herbert as well. Love the hire, because obviously it's Mike McDaniel. But unfortunately for the Titans, they miss out. No amount of good faith or goodwill of being each other's best mans at their weddings was able to convince Mike McDaniel to come jumpstart this Tennessee Titans offense. And he goes to LA to most likely, let's be honest, ramp up his career again, probably have the Los Angeles Chargers put on a couple of master classes next season. And then in a year or two's time, he's going to be a head coach again. Right.
And so somebody did say Austin's take, Bork, Austin's Chargers at the bottom choice. We didn't age well. No, I was wrong. Yeah, clearly I was wrong. I thought the Tampa idea, because you could be the Bucs next head coach or any other head coach. And then you also have the proximity to Miami.
The Bucs sound like they're finding their next OC as well. So.
Oh, really? I don't know what. Oh, wait, yeah, I do know that. Yeah, we did have that report going on that Brian Callahan is a finalist.
Yep, he's going back for a second interview.
He is. So that came out this morning. Evan Winter, who covers the Bucs for us, had that.
You have dynasty value in your Tampa Bay Bucs wide receivers or running backs. Do what you will now with that information, whether you think that's good or bad.
That's right. So, okay, so that's the update there. Then there was another update this morning. So Mike McDaniel was out, but that doesn't mean that Robert Saleh is out of ideas for this OC job to pair with him. Brian Daboll has been linked a lot to Robert Saleh, as maybe both former fired New York coaches come join forces in Nashville together. So here's the Brian Daboll update. Diana Rossini this morning. Brian Daboll is expected to have several options as an offensive coordinator. The Titans and the Eagles aren't the only teams pushing to land him now. The Buffalo Bills are going to bring him in for a head coach interview. So offensive coordinator teams will have to wait to see how Buffalo's head coach job plays out. Anthony Lynn is also a name to watch for the Bills head coach job, who was a finalist before McDermott was hired. And so now Brian Daboll is being interviewed for the head coach job in the same area, same state that he was fired in earlier this season, but where he got the Giants job because of his work he did as the Bills offensive coordinator with Josh Allen. Could be going back to Josh Allen as the head coach, which would kind of be failing upwards. Right. I mentioned Lane Kiffin already once today, as John Harbaugh was the Lane Kiffin of the NFL cycle, and Mike McDaniel was the Lane Kiffin of the OC cycle. Well, maybe Brian Daboll is the Lane Kiffin of the failing upwards situation, because being fired by the Giants to go get the Bills head coach job with Josh Allen sounds like a great win if you're Brian Daboll.
Absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, for the Titans' future, it makes a ton of sense for what they want. Obviously, the more and more you read about what's going on in Buffalo, the more you see that Brandon Beane has essentially won the power struggle and has made himself quite a protected man up there in Buffalo after Sean McDermott is fired for a lot of the decisions Brandon Beane made himself with the roster. You look at what they want to bring in for Josh Allen, and I think you saw the peak of the Buffalo Bills when Brian Daboll was the OC. Now, I do think that there is something to the idea that we saw how Daboll's coaching style was in New York, which was a little bit more emotional, a little bit, wasn't necessarily getting the best of what Brian Daboll can bring offensively to a team because of the head coaching responsibilities. So that's something that, if there's one way that maybe the Bills say we'll pass on this, it's potentially that they just do not think that Daboll can really be the head coach guy and can take on that type of responsibility, which then would potentially land him back in a 2-horse race with the Titans and the Eagles and whoever else may decide to get in on the mix. But I think if you had to ask me right now, my gut feeling is that he becomes the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills. It just makes too much sense for wanting to get Josh back on track, someone who's familiar, things like that.
Asher says Daboll had a crush on Dart. He also really liked Cam Ward. I mean, don't forget how much the Giants were trying to trade up with the Titans to get Cam Ward at 1, even when the Titans were on the clock. One last shot. Hey, are you sure, Mike? Joe Shane calling the Titans for that. So, of course, Daboll liked Dart, but he also really loved Cam Ward at number 1 overall. All right, let's go ahead and get to that's really the main updates overall here. And then Andre says another day with no Zach. Zach's not coming back for a while on the show. He's not doing that. We have discussed that. So he is doing other things for the company. I had to split up our duties further for the company as we continue to grow and do other things. So I just want to let people know that he's not coming back for a bit. I don't know if ever.
Andre will just he'll continue to shout into the void as he does.
Yes,
every day.
Yeah. So I mean, you can do that if you want to, but that's just how that's going to play out overall. So. And Andre says, I'm trying to speak into existence.
Exactly.
It ain't gonna happen, dude.
Into the
ain't
void.
Gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. All right, so let's go ahead and get to our first question of the day here, JT. With Mike McDaniel gone, and then you can say, I mean, Brian Daboll is still in play here, but with Mike McDaniel gone, who is your next top target for Robert Saleh's Titans OC? Who is your next top target for Robert Saleh's Titans OC with Mike McDaniel off the board going to the Chargers? So comments will start to flow in the chat. JT, I'll let you tell everybody about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute.
Yeah, the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust, and that's why we trust our friends over at the Bone and Joint Institute. They can do everything for you under one roof, down just a short drive down 65 towards the Franklin area, including, but not limited to, their clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, and rehab. They have the state-of-the-art rehab facility with over a dozen specialists. They have it all. Don't fumble your recovery. To schedule an appointment at that location down I-65 in Franklin or one of their satellite locations, go to boneandjointtn.org.
BTA Sports is better for bettors. It's a great time to do this because you just got a 14-day free trial if you sign up with BTA Sports using our link and our codes ATOZ14, 14-day free trial for a $9.99 weekly subscription, or ATOZ Sports, 14-day free trial, 12-month subscription. For the 12 months, you're going to get the rest of the playoffs here. You're going to get the Super Bowl. You're going to get all of Major League Baseball in the entire NFL season next year into the playoffs for $79. It's a killer deal. You're going to win your money back. BTA Sports is continuing to grow, adding sports onto their database of projections and models and predictions. They have fantasy atomizer and they do all types of stuff with fantasy football and I'm sure fantasy baseball as well. So they got you covered right there. BTA Sports, download the app with the link, code ATOZ14, 14-day free trial, weekly subscription. ATOZ Sports, 14-day free trial, and a year-long subscription right there. Hit them up there. So, JT, to the chat you go. Favorite top targets with Mike McDaniel off the board for Robert Saleh's offensive coordinator. What are you seeing?
Yeah, we got a couple answers in here, both expected and unexpected. Certainly one that I have not heard a lot of, but certainly has some people around here talking, is Esco starts off with Bobby Slowick, of all people. Might as well just try to recreate the 2023 Texans with the Salah Slowick instead of the what is his name?
D'Amico Ryans?
Yeah, Ryans Slowick coaching tandem there. Caps also doubles down and says Slowick is his pick as well. And then we get to the ones that are more relevant here that have been talked about. Brian Daboll says Steven. Andre says Daboll. Daniel says he wouldn't mind Matt Nagy. Eric also saying Bobby Slowick in here. Corey bringing up, how about a Cliff Kingsbury in here? He's certainly started off the cycle pretty hot, but I feel like his name has kind of subsided in the past week or so. Rooney says he would like Matt Nagy. Daniel, once again, banging the table for Matt Nagy. Daboll. Bobby Slowick getting a heck of a bunch of love here. Brandon says he'd like Cliff Kingsbury, Thomas Brown, or Brian Daboll. Titans Kyle says Daboll or Nagy. Kingsbury, Brian Daboll. Daboll, Kingsbury or Daboll. Daboll or Bobby Slowick again. Kingsbury, Slowick. A lot of Bob. I'm actually surprised here that Bobby Slowick is getting as much love as he is. Almost much more than Matt Nagy, which I guess you could find that you could expect that based on the events of the past week or so. But a lot of Troy once again says Kingsbury. Edward says Daboll. I need players yelled at. Robert Saleh won't be enough. Might as well get Daboll in there to add some extra juice to that locker room that's already going to have a lot. Roger says Kingsbury or Kubiak. Once again, I do want to just point out, I feel like at this point,
which Kubiak?
Clay Kubiak, the offensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. I do want to point out that there's still just noise out of San Francisco continues to be that at this point, and this is a little dramatic, but kind of gets the point across that Kyle Shanahan would rather die than let Clay Kubiak out of that building.
Yeah, ain't happening.
I put out a tweet yesterday. I don't know if you've ever seen that video of the guy like in the middle of the night in New York, and he like walks up to like a flower shop and there's a cat laying at the door, and he tries to open the door and it's locked, and then he just starts screaming, "I'm gonna get you out of here." That's me with Clay Kubiak. I'm gonna go steal him. I'm gonna get him out of San Francisco to bring him here with Robert Saleh. But it's very much not a thought as of right now until Kyle Shanahan changes his mind, which I don't foresee happening. And then, hey, finally, we get a Arthur Smith mention here from Sadler.
Okay. So there's a lot of options, obviously. Sure. And so I'm addressing the Bobby Slowick trend in the chat that I don't think either of us expected. I thought Bobby Slowick would be brought up probably way deeper into this conversation than it did. Bobby Slowick has a lot of crossover with Robert Saleh. He was a defensive quality control coach when he returned to coaching. Remember, Bobby Slowick started on that Washington staff with Mike Shanahan, with everybody else. Like it was the superstar kid staff, like the Wonder Kids maybe staff with Washington in 11 through 13. And then he went and became a Pro Football Focus data analyst for a few years. And then he came back as a defensive quality control coach with the Niners right when Kyle Shanahan took over, because Kyle Shanahan was a part of that Washington staff under his dad, Mike, right? So, and Robert Saleh was the D coordinator that year. He was with Robert Saleh for his first stint as defensive coordinator, 2 years on the defensive side. Then he flipped over, Slowick did, as an offensive assistant before Saleh left to go to the Jets as the head coach. And Slowick continued the next couple of years climbing the offensive ladder with San Francisco, but where he became the OC under DeMeco Ryans. When DeMeco Ryans left San Francisco to be the Texans head coach, he took Slowick with him, lasted 2 years, a great year with rookie CJ Stroud, a not so great year the second year. And then now he went to hang out with Mike McDaniel in Miami, who was also a part of the Wonder Kids staff in Washington under Mike Shanahan. So it's like somebody asked, like, how many damn Kubiaks are there? It's like, I think two. I think there's just two Kubiaks, Clay and Clint, right? Under Gary, under Dad Gary. I feel like Mike Shanahan has Kyle and then all these other illegitimate kids. It's almost like, when Deion Sanders called Travis Hunter and Cam Ward one of his, but Shedeur Sanders is actually his. I feel like that's the Shanahans. It's McVay, Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, Slowick. I'm leaving out probably so many others that were also on that staff. Matt, both LaFleur's, Matt and Mike. And so they're all Shanahan kids. That's all they are. And so Slowick there too. So you've got Bobby Slowick, who's got that crossover time, spending 4 years on the same Niner staff as Robert Saleh. So pretty solid connection there overall. That's not what I expected the chat to go with. So JT, I'll let you go with first. Top target for the Titans OC job under Robert Saleh with no Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, and I know I just talked a lot about how I think if you had to ask me today, he's going to be the Bills coach, but let's say that doesn't happen. And obviously they're bringing in a couple other candidates. They're looking at their own offensive coordinator right now, Joe Brady. They're maybe potentially poaching the Cleveland Browns top option and Udinski. They're bringing him in for an interview. They're bringing in Big Lou Anarumo as well for an interview. But Brian Daboll is my number one, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I understand the questions with with him, especially his second and third year there with the Giants. But if you had to ask me to make a pitch as to why I think Brian Daboll is the right fit here in Tennessee, it would be something along the lines of, look, the guys that he has worked with, you can look at this year very early on with Jackson Dart before he gets fired. You look at what he did in his first year with Daniel Jones, getting them to the playoffs. You look at what he did when in the very early years of Josh Allen. You look at quarterbacks with an archetype of playing within more of a, let's say, training wheels type offense where you have a lot of crosser based progressions. You have a lot of middle of the field throw progressions set up by the run game that then allow for these little moments to be basically almost orchestrated for these quarterbacks who love to make out of structure plays, whether it be running, whether it be moving outside the pocket and kind of letting the play break down and then finally finding a guy once the play is over. Things like that with all three of these quarterbacks, he's done extremely well to almost, as I put it, bring order to the chaos that is these quarterbacks that want to make out of structure plays, essentially set them up to have less of those moments. But when they have those moments, they work really well. And it's not necessarily trying to get Cam Ward to be a running quarterback. When Brian Daboll was there, Josh Allen was never the running quarterback that he is now. He was playing a lot more in structure than he is now under Joe Brady and a bunch of others. So I think
there is something to like every quarterback that Brian Daboll has worked with in college or the NFL has had a willingness to run way more than Cam Ward.
Certainly.
And so that's when going back to Alabama when he was the OC with Jalen Hurts before Jalen Hurts lost the job to Tua and went to Oklahoma. Brian Daboll was the OC there. So it's literally everybody that he's worked with is a more willing runner than Cam is.
And that's the one knock on him, right? Yeah. But I think when you talk about Cam Ward needing a guy who, first of all, is putting running aside, has been an incredible developer of quarterbacks from a throwing standpoint, taking the running out of this, paired with a guy who I believe can really maximize his out of structure plays, whether that's running, whether that's not, either one. I think Daboll is the guy that if you want the best out of that Cam-like movement in outside of the pocket, Daboll can bring a heavy upside there.
All right, so I'm going to take a pause here because we've got comments coming in. We got a couple super chats. Right here, Ali Aishid says, bring up Miami's Shannon Dawson. No, I do not want that to happen. Shannon Dawson, I have nothing against Shannon Dawson, but there was a lot of weird Miami play tendencies. Like they ran the same motion every time before they ran their tunnel screens to Malachi Toney, like all year long. Like it was like their tendencies are very loud. But Mike Bell has a comment, says, I'm finding this very odd. The Titans don't have an OC ready to go. And I think it's important to know this. That's not how that can happen. Because offensive coordinator positions, defensive coordinator positions, special teams coordinator positions that are open, that are not currently under contract, you have to also go through the Rooney Rule for those jobs. So it's not like Robert Saleh can be hired as the Titans head coach, which Titans fan 81 is correct. They have not even formally announced that yet. The team has not. You have to go through the Rooney Rule for coordinators. And so there's a process here, right? And so that's why you don't just have automatically, boom, done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to, especially if you want to take a look at Vrabel as well. It's a process that
who?
Or sorry, not Vrabel, Daboll. Chad is still continuing to bring up Vrabel every single day. So it just put 2 and 2 in my mind, and I got them crossed. But if you want to take a look at Daboll, you're gonna have to wait no matter what. So
just like you're gonna have to wait for McDaniel, you're gonna have to wait. The Chargers still have to wait for Mike McDaniel, technically. So I All right. So I got so you go with Brian Daboll as your top target. I agree. But I think after that is where it gets really dicey. And
I do have another one. Like, I don't know if you have one.
I do have one.
Okay.
But continue.
I think there is, and we'll get into this because there is some precedent here in terms of having interest in the guy. Robert Saleh has had interest in Cliff Kingsbury before. Zach Lyons of 104.5 brought this up yesterday and kind of went back and found a Diana Rossini article.
Let's do that.
Talking about how everything was breaking down around the Jets, he wanted to bring in a new offensive coordinator, and there were a couple names. Cliff Kingsbury was one of those. Talked a little bit earlier about how it seems the market for Cliff Kingsbury has really slowed down. Certainly is not going to be the OC in Washington. He's going to need another OC job as he continues to build back up his resume. Cliff Kingsbury could be a very intriguing fit here because of the connection and the interest, at least, with Robert Saleh. And also another guy who could potentially find ways to maximize Cam Ward.
All right, so I will get to that list because Cliff Kingsbury was on that list. Zach Lyons had a couple other names on that list of deeper cut connections to Robert Saleh, and we'll do that here in a second. But first, I want to tell you guys about our friends at the Barton Drury Insurance Group. Customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. BartonDrury.com is the website to get their services. Everybody needs an expert in the insurance lane because none of us normal people that don't work in insurance truly understand insurance the way Barton Drury does or the experts do. And so you have to lean on the people that do this for a living. They got you covered there. They will jump on a Zoom with you. They will jump on the phone. They will text you, email you, whatever type of correspondence you're looking for your insurance. They will do that for you. They'll look for the right plan for your cost, for your budget, and not sacrificing the coverage that you, your family, or whatever your situation needs, whether it's your personal health coverage, home, auto, renter's insurance, umbrella insurance policy. If you got a boat, need insurance on that, they can do that too. If you have a business like Zach and I do, and you need a workers' comp policy, that's very important. If you need health coverage for your employees, we got that through Barton Drury Insurance Group. If you're looking for 401k planning for your financial future, they can do that as well. Literally a one-stop shop online, BartonDrury.com.
Yeah, so shout out our friends. Once again, BTA Sports is better for bettors, and you can use that code ATOZSports. When you download the app, get the 14-day free trial. It's going to get you through the AFC NFC Championship, which, by the way, that line currently between the fighting Jared Stidhams in the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots is 5.5. BTA Sports thinks it might be a little bit closer than that the Broncos can keep it close. Want to know exactly what that line is? Check our friends out at BTA Sports. They are here to help us beat the books. They're not a sports book. They're help us here to beat the sports books, and you can do it with our friends at BTA Sports. They are better for bettors.
All right, so yes, a little hat tip to Zach Lyons is deserved on this one for finding the article that goes through Robert Saleh looking to add to his coaching staff before the last year that he was the Jets head coach. So I think we have to understand first the context of what was going on the last year of his coaching job with the Jets. So Mike LaFleur, that has been brought up a lot in this chat when we're talking about offensive coordinator options for Robert Saleh. And I'll also get to my top target here in a second because I haven't answered the first question. But Mike LaFleur was let go. The Jets offense pre-Aaron Rodgers was 28th-ish in the league for those first couple of years. Then the move for Aaron Rodgers to be added by the Jets got intense. That was a Woody Johnson ownership situation, right? It seemed like Aaron Rodgers was a play forced upon Robert Saleh from above his head. I don't know if you feel the same way. That's how I feel, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So with that being the case, Aaron Rodgers, we know, likes his people. He will take, oh crap, I just lost his name.
Hackett?
No.
Downing?
No. The Reggie Cobb. He will take Reggie Cobb wherever he goes, right? And he will take, you know what I'm talking about?
The wide receiver?
Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb.
God, okay. Sorry. Reggie Cobb, former Vols running back. Randall Cobb, Kentucky wide receiver from Knoxville.
I was with you for a second, and then I wasn't.
He will take Randall Cobb wherever he goes, right? He will take Alan Lazard wherever he goes, and Nathaniel Hackett to that one too. So Mike LaFleur out for Nathaniel Hackett in, who had a disastrous 1 year as the Broncos head coach. So Aaron Rodgers pulling the strings. And so Zach Lyons found a deep cut list of connections for Robert Saleh and put this out there on Twitter. Some guys that may not be on the general radar for possible Titans OCs are these 4 names that Saleh wanted to bring into his offensive staff heading into 24, not as offensive coordinators though, but as like somebody like on the staff, like kind of like what Dennis Kelly was before he replaced Todd Downing on the Titans staff under Vrabel, right? Luke Getsy, who spent time with Green Bay and also with the Bears, most recently the Raiders. Then you have Eric Bieniemy, who is now the Chiefs' new offensive coordinator, replacing Matt Nagy, whose contract expired. Arthur Smith and Cliff Kingsbury. So that's a quality list. Luke Getsy was kind of the scapegoat for Matt Eberflus to buy Eberflus more time in Chicago, and got a raw job there. Eric Bieniemy is not in play here, but Arthur Smith, as we know very well, here with the Titans, his first stint. And then you've got Cliff Kingsbury. So you bring up Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think the Titans are interested in Cliff Kingsbury. And, of course, I messed up Tim and Dennis Kelly.
I was about to say, you're having trouble with names this morning, just like I did Vrabel and Daboll.
I know.
We're having trouble, actually, here. Things are coming off the track.
Yeah, we're tired because the last week and a half has been crazy. And so whenever –
I used up – I had 2 Celsius yesterday, and I thought I needed both of them for yesterday's show and didn't have one for today's show. And so I didn't have any caffeine this morning either. So I get it.
Yeah, this is literally like us crashing off of the adrenaline that we've been running on throughout this coaching search in real time. It's like when you're driving home, and people always say like car accidents. It's getting kind of dark here, but car accidents happen like under 2 miles of your home, especially late at night, because you see that signal in your brain that's like, "Oh, I'm so close to home." That's when you relax. I've relaxed and I've lost names, so that's how that happens. So anyway, back on target here. So Cliff Kingsbury was not a target for the Titans. He did not get an interview on the calendar for this job. Does that make him not a candidate for Robert Saleh at OC, or does it just bury him further down the candidate list if Saleh can't get somebody else?
I mean, I don't think it necessarily does, because if you were interviewing a guy like Daboll, if you're interviewing some of these guys, like that to me says that your plan all along then was to hire Robert Saleh, right? Or something along those lines, because they interviewed someone, before they interviewed Robert Saleh. Was that their plan all along because they were interviewing these offensive coordinator candidates? I don't think so. Because ultimately, I don't think, no matter if Mike Borgonzi likes the guy, I mean, this is Robert Saleh's staff. You're essentially, as soon as you hire Robert Saleh to make the staff, you kind of have to be hands off. You have to let Robert Saleh build his staff. And so if he wants to bring in Cliff Kingsbury, I think there's still opportunity. I think we talked about how yesterday the percentage chance that it was going to be someone on this list. I still think there's Art Smith on that previous interview candidate list. There's Brian Daboll. There's a bunch of others. I'm probably missing Matt Nagy, a couple others going back through my mind, trying to think of all the people they tried to interview. But like that's with the notion of them potentially maybe becoming more familiar with those guys, for that when they bring in a new head coach, they have some familiarity and can kind of see where Robert Saleh or whoever the coach was coming from. But ultimately, it's Robert Saleh's it's Robert Saleh's gig now, like assuming it's Robert Saleh's gig, but like that's where we are. He has to build the staff, and if he wants to bring Cliff Kingsbury, that's kind of on him,
Yeah,
that's the decision for him to make.
Deborah says Cliff declined the head coach request. Correct? Not to our knowledge.
Not to my knowledge.
Easton said yesterday on the show, throughout the entire however long yesterday's show was, that it seemed like the interest in Cliff Kingsbury was one-sided and he made it sound like the Titans were not interested as they maybe initially thought they could have been in Cliff Kingsbury's services as a head coach. So, but I think, and we all think, the Titans brought in some of these 16 guys some of these interviews for head coach were coordinator conversations like Raheem Morris and John Gannon.
This is breaking, but the Eagles are conducting their The Eagles are conducting their offensive coordinator search with the understanding that Brian Daboll wants the Bills head coaching job. If he doesn't land it, Daboll is expected to wind up in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator for Cam Ward and the Titans, per sources. There it is.
Okay.
So, not to ruin our conversation here, but sounds like Brian Daboll is your next OC if he does not get the Bills job. Because the conversation we just had, right, which people are saying we knew this, blah, blah, blah. We knew that if he wasn't a Bill, it was going to come down to the Eagles and it was going to come down to the Titans. Certainly sounds like the Eagles are taking themselves out of the running. So if he does not get the job with the Bills, he's a Titan.
Okay, so now we've got it.
He's reporting.
We have that Brian Daboll's top offensive coordinator choice is the Titans. Do you want – this is a yes. This is a yes or no question, and I'll put up a YouTube poll. Do you want Brian Daboll as your offensive coordinator? Yes or no? And the poll will come up. But first, I will tell you what I said yes to, and that was new windows at Window Nation this past fall.
There you go.
Window Nation has a great deal going on. Back in September, we got buy 2 windows, get 2 windows for free with financing options out the wazoo that fit us and what we're looking for. And we saved thousands and thousands of dollars on our new windows. But now they've got buy 4 windows, get 4 windows for free with 0% financing up to 2 years. If you qualify for that, there's so many options for how you can split up the payments. We make them super easy on you. And you can do that at windownation.com. The product is great. The customer service is phenomenal. The presentation on the free estimate is really fun. It's like a science experiment. And so you pay nothing. If you go to windownation.com, you click the button, you have somebody call you to schedule a free estimate for your window. It takes an hour. It's really friendly. Roy, who runs the Nashville market, comes over and kind of hangs out at your house, and he's a very nice gentleman. He comes in and kind of gives you a science experiment on here's what your windows are, here's what we have, and here's how we can improve your bills. Here's how we can up the equity in your home, the value of your home, all of that right there with Window Nation. So check them out online. Buy 4, get 4 free in January. Free estimate at windownation.com.
You also get, once again, powered by BTA Sports. BTA Sports is better for bettors. Use that code ATOZSports when you download the app to get the 14-day free trial. Then just $79.99 after that for the entirety of the 2026 sports season. That's going to include MLB baseball, the 2026 NFL season, and plenty more on the way with our friends over at BTA Sports.
Do you want Brian Daboll as Titans offensive coordinator? Before you get to the chat, JT, I will let you go ahead and reread Diana Rossini's latest there for look at you, man, on the fly. Daboll picks Titans as top OC option. Bang! Updating that. How about that? All right, so reread Diana Rossini's latest about Brian Daboll.
So this is from Diana Rossini at 8:50, 5 minutes ago. She says, the Eagles are conducting their offensive coordinator search with the understanding that Brian Daboll wants the Bills head coaching job. If he doesn't land it, I think this is from the Eagles' understanding as well. The Eagles understand if he doesn't land the Bills job, Daboll wants to wind up, or is expected. So it sounds like the Eagles are expecting Daboll to wind up in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator for Cam Ward and the Titans, per sources.
Okay. So I put up the YouTube poll, and I'll send you the chat there, JT. Do you want Brian Daboll as Titans offensive coordinator? Recently fired Giants head coach to join the recently fired Jets head coach in Nashville. What are you thinking there? What are you seeing from the chat?
Yeah, I mean, the chat is popped alive here. Michael saying yes, yes, yes. Bill Henry saying yes. Pistol Grip, yes. Assad, no. Nick is lukewarm on it. He says meh. Yes from D-Dread. Yes from Grady. Greatness Hybrid, yes. Sure. Hell yes from Burning Devil. Mr. Clean, hell yeah. 100% yes. 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 Yes, 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 absolutely yes. Yes, yes, yes. Let's get Daboll. Yes. Dre Clifton, hell yes. Yes, with the thumbs up. Edward, before we even finished asking, yes. Titans Kyle says yes. Jake Hughes says yes, but he's not my first choice. Why not? Sure. Corey says yes, I'll accept it. J-Dub says yes, yes, yes. Hell yes, LOL, yes, yes. Great teacher, says Caleb. Certainly that's one of the big things with him. Whether it is a picking up on a guy like Jackson Dart, whether it is having super heavy interest in Cam Ward before the draft with the Giants, whether it is taking Daniel Jones to the playoffs for what was his only time as a Giant, correct, in his first year as the head coach, whether it is getting on that staff in what was, I think, year 2 of Josh Allen or year 3, and taking him from the guy who was throwing 17, 18 interceptions to the quarterback that we know him as now. He's a guy that is absolutely a quarterback developer and is somebody who can kind of fit into that mold of the quarterbacks that Cam Ward fits into and work with them very well. And so I think that's one of his biggest traits. But yes, Sean King says yes, easily. Kat Nelson says yes. Tall Texan says yes. He's proven to get talent out of quarterbacks. Esco, the small minority here, it says nope. Chris says sure. It's going to be very interesting. It sounds like it is a resounding yes for the chat here. But if somebody does, I mean, I'd be interested to hear the opposite side of here, because we did, when I was trying to give a pitch for Brian Daboll, certainly had some people kind of pushing back against the idea of Brian Daboll as the Titans OC and how well he would work here. It'll be very interesting.
So your pitch was basically, he does a good job with quarterbacks who are better outside of structure, giving them an easier option in structure before allowing them the flexibility to go off structure.
Absolutely. The biggest, if I can sum it down into just a small, tiny little phrase, I think Brian Daboll brings order to chaos in terms of quarterbacks playing out of structure. I think his run game, whether it was early on with the Bills, whether it was what he was doing early on with Cam Scatteraboo, what he was doing with Saquon and even Tyrone Tracy last year, I think he is able to scheme up a hell of a run game. I think that then allows him to kind of keep quarterbacks on a training wheels-esque type progression system, which once again uses a lot of crossers, likes to use the middle of the field a lot, which is what Cam's bread and butter would be, assuming then in the next year or so. But also you look at what he's been able to do with some of these quarterbacks. And once again, Cam is not necessarily a running quarterback. He is somebody who we don't really know or don't project him to be a running guy, but it doesn't, the idea of him running or not is not what I'm trying to get at. It's the fact that he can set up these moments where Cam Ward can play out of structure, and those moments will most likely 9 out of 10 times be successful because of how he's setting up the offense.
Right. All right. So again, I was able to put this graphic together. I did not do the best crop job on that one, but there is the update on that one. So Brian Daboll has named the Titans his top OC job preference. I'm a yes vote on the poll. So I'll flip over to the YouTube poll and see where people are standing on that. 87% say yes. It's only 6 minutes old. So 87% of people say yes for Brian Daboll as the Titans OC. I am a yes as well. Would it make sense for the Bills to do this? I guess, would the Bills fire Sean McDermott, who had all this success, except for getting Josh Allen and the Bills to the Super Bowl, right? Do they fire him for an old coordinator of his who just got fired as a head coach?
That's kind of what I brought up when I was talking about the idea that it was, if he is going to get the Bills job, Brandon Beane, who of course is no stranger to making pretty bad decisions, whether it be from a personnel standpoint or a staff standpoint, but it would be a pretty big, signal that they believe he can be a good head coach, because we looked at what he was in New York, and it was a lot more emotional than he normally was as an OC. Certainly felt like the head coaching job brought him distractions to his game plan and whatnot during his time in New York. Certainly just didn't seem like he was maybe ready for it, or it kind of got not ready for it, but like it got away from him towards the end because of everything that was surrounding him, especially in that New York market. And so if they were to do it, it's a big stamp of faith from the Bills that he can somehow do it again and not have that happen.
Yeah, I think
they're also interviewing Joe Brady. So like,
that's also weird though too. But like firing Sean McDermott and
I'm not trying to say Sean McDermott firing made any sense.
No. And I don't think either of us are. But the chat says, well, if Josh Allen wants Brian Daboll, Josh Allen is going to get Brian Daboll, right? If that's the situation, then there you go. If Josh Allen wants Joe Brady, he might get Joe Brady. But I felt like Joe Brady became a kind of a villain in the Buffalo fan base over the last year, especially the last several months.
I think it would be smart if you want a new leader, because that was what the root of the problem was. That's what they've said all along, is that it just wasn't working and we need a new leader in the clubhouse, so to say. We need a new guy to lead this team. Do you want to bring somebody? You want that new leader to be somebody that has been under Sean McDermott? Like, I don't know if that's a new leader that you want. Like, it makes, if you're going to say we want new leadership, we want to go in a new direction from a culture, from a locker room style perspective. Yeah, it makes no sense to go back to the same coaching staff that you just fired the head coach from.
How about this? Apparently, here we are. The Bills have a current ongoing press conference. Bills owner Terry Pegula. This is why owners should not talk to the media. Here is a quote. I'm reading this from Elena Getzenberg, who covers the Bills. Bills owner Terry Pegula said his decision to bring in a new coach was, quote, based on the results of our game in Denver. The Bills fired Sean McDermott because they lost that game in Denver.
And if they did, they should have fired Beane then, because who put the roster together? Like,
how stupid is that? Then you should fire Josh Allen if you truly, and Brandon Cooks, right?
If you're saying,
what did Sean McDermott do in that game in Denver to lose?
The Bills pass rush got pressure on Bo Nix 20% of the time, which is the lowest percentage pressure rate of any game this entire playoffs.
Sure, but the Broncos got to steal points at the end of the half because Josh Allen went full Will Levis.
Yeah, I mean,
And guess what happened? They lost in overtime. So, more continuing. This is from Elena Getzenberg again. Pegula said he looked around the locker room and saw Josh Allen crying and the rest of the players who were in tears. He said that Allen didn't even acknowledge him at first. The QB was sobbing, so that he saw the pain at his presser and felt that they could do better. Bills owner says, we are focused on bringing a Super Bowl to Buffalo and that he knows it's a desirable job. I just think that is insane. That's insane. Insanity. Stupid. What? You've got to be kidding me. Josh Allen was crying because he let his teammates down.
Yep.
Josh Allen blamed himself and his head coach got fired because the owner emotionally reacted on a divisional playoff game on the road in Denver when his quarterback had 3 turnovers that were his fault and 1 turnover that was Brandon Cook's fault that's been traded more than a deck of cards.
At this point, I hate to come back to the Game of Thrones reference, but at this point, it really does feel like Brandon Beane is the master of spies, just chirping in Pegula's ear right now, telling him what to say because of the power struggle that he won.
God, man.
It's wild. It's crazy.
That is nuts. So, look, I think Brian Daboll is going to get the head coach job in Buffalo. So, if that's the case, then I get to answer because Brian Daboll is my answer of top target after Mike McDaniel. But if that's not going to happen, in my opinion, then where do I go next? And I think this is a classic, like damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation, because the Titans are in a weird spot here. If they hire a good offensive coordinator and that coordinator has success, that head coaching job is going to present itself, right? Even when Matt LaFleur did not have a gangbusters offense with Marcus Mariota in Vrabel's first year in 2018, he got that head coaching job. So the bar is low for this Titans offensive coordinator to get a head coaching job if it's one of these guys who's done it before.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. I don't know.
I think it is. You're proving you can make chicken salad out of chicken bleep, and you get promoted as a new chef in a better place. So,
well, yeah, I was saying that. Sorry, that I totally agree with the sentiment that he is going to get the Bills job. I don't know at this point. I still don't know.
So anyway,
it would be very. I don't know if the optics are great on that.
So it's like, do you want a coordinator who's going to be here for a couple of years? Because the odds are, if your coordinator gets hired as a head coach, you had a good year, right? That's what happened with Arthur Smith. Mm-hmm. He had a really good year, and he got a head coaching job. Not necessarily the same with Matt LaFleur, but Matt LaFleur was getting head coaching interviews before he became the Titans OC. I think Matt Nagy is the next in line after Brian Daboll, because I do think Matt Nagy is the right combination of quality offensive coordinator who is a couple more years away from his next head coaching job. Like Arthur Smith is closer to his next head coaching job than Matt Nagy is. Cliff Kingsbury is closer to his next head coaching job than Matt Nagy. I think Bobby Slowick is equal to Matt Nagy, but Bobby Slowick has never done it before as a head coach. So that's where I think Matt Nagy is a multi-year offensive coordinator under Robert Saleh. And Caps is knowing me on that one. And
here's the thing, and maybe I'm not very versed on this, I guess I admit, but is there any connection between Saleh and Nagy? So that's one thing. Once again, if we're going back to the idea that it's hands off now from the GM, it is hands off. You picked Saleh. Saleh makes his own staff. Where's the connection there, right?
Mike Borgonzi. And so Kingsbury, and he says, Kingsbury's close to Nagy. How can you say that when Nagy was a final 2 for this head coaching job? Because this head coaching job has this GM and that relationship with Matt Nagy. It's very easy, guys. Like the same reason why Nick Holtz became an offensive coordinator under Brian Callahan. And that was the only situation that Nick Holtz in the hiring cycle that he became an OC was going to become an offensive coordinator was under Brian Callahan. That was that relationship. And then Sharman says Nagy said no to calling plays, so he would be a good fit. No. Context. Matt Nagy said, in my next head coaching opportunity, I would not call plays so I can focus on the CEO job of the head coach responsibilities and delegate better because I didn't do a good enough job of that the first time. We have to remember things here. Like things are not just, I don't know why I have to explain that further because that's pretty obvious to me. So Matt Nagy would call plays as an offensive coordinator without Andy Reid being the head coach. That's what he would want to do. His contract expired in Kansas City. It was understood for months that Matt Nagy was going to go elsewhere. The Chiefs were fine with that. They were cool with that. That they thought that was the best job for him and for everybody. And so that was the role. That's what Matt Nagy wanted. The Chiefs were cool to let him do it.
Yeah, that's once again, the article never stated anything outside of calling plays. If he was a head coach, he was not going to do that because that is delegating, knowing what he needs to do now in his second time around. As an OC, that's all he would be doing. So it doesn't really translate the same.
Yeah, Anthony, how did Nagy get the stink on him? I just thought he was closer to a head coaching job. And, people talking about Nagy has a terrible reputation around fan bases.
Well, certainly some fans still believe that they were the reason why Matt Nagy was not named the head coach here. So,
yeah,
hey, if you guys did it.
I fully believe that. I fully believe that if Matt Nagy did not have this reputation and there was not a pending fan revolt at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, then he would be the head coach. But Robert Saleh is a head coach because I think Mike Borgonzi made a better decision for the head coaching job. But I think Matt Nagy would be a really solid offensive coordinator under Robert Saleh. I think that should be an option because he's seen Patrick Mahomes develop from year one.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that it would it'd be harder to sell because it's not necessarily a Robert Saleh guy. So
that's fine.
But at the same time, this once again, if the GM and the head coach are now in lockstep, I think, and if Mike Borgonzi, like you said, they're in constant communication. If that's what he wants in a head coach, I could see it. I could see them having discussions about bringing Matt Nagy in and trying to convince Robert Saleh on that guy. So,
all right. So we have some super chats. We will not use the second topic that we had that was going to be spicy that maybe we'll get to on Thursday or Friday. We'll save that one already. But the latest update from Diana Rossini that we had here happened about 20 minutes ago. Less than that, I guess 15 minutes ago. The timestamp is still, 20 minutes ago is fine. The Eagles are conducting their offensive coordinator search with the understanding that Brian Daboll wants the Bills head coaching job. If he doesn't land it, Daboll is expected to wind up in Tennessee as the OC for Cam Ward and the Titans per sources. So Brian Daboll names the Titans his top OC option. So that's, I think, a good development overall. However, I do think the Bills will hire him as their head coach. So a couple super chats to get to before we wrap up this Wednesday with Shade. Z Dean says, curious if A to Z has any contacts in the New York market. Would be interesting to hear any outside opinions on Salah in his time with the Jets. We don't have anybody that covers the Jets because it's not that good for business. We do have somebody who covers the Giants. I
have a contact. My grandmother
Oh, nice.
My grandmother's a Jets fan.
I would love an unfiltered JT's grandma Jets
fan.
I
do. Hold on. Let me pull up the text back up.
Hell yeah.
Okay. I said, guess it's my turn for the Robert Saleh experience, Grandma. And she says, as long as he hires a really good offensive coordinator, he could be a great pick. His players all loved him. Good luck. Fingers crossed emoji. There you go. From the source.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. That's sweet like that and very logical and well thought out, or just unhinged.
And if you know my grandma, she loves to be unhinged. So this, I think that also adds more weight to it. So
hilarious. That's fantastic. From grandma there, grandma, JT's grandma. Zachary comes in. If anyone worried about the fact that we just signed the Temu Wish version of Mike Vrabel as the head coach.
I mean, I feel like people have been wanting that return to form. If you can get it in any way, shape, or form, people have wanted that.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Saleh is a way better.
If the Temu version is Vrabel's intensity, Vrabel's culture, Vrabel's type of idea of how to be a head coach of the team, but without the power struggle, without the control, if that's the Temu / Wish part, then I feel like people would be super excited. So I don't know. I'm not worried.
So I think Vrabel also wore on a portion of that locker room and building.
Fair enough.
Robert Saleh is a way.
Though, apparently.
No, definitely not. Again, if you're a Vrabel guy, you're a Vrabel guy. If you're not a Vrabel guy, tough stuff. You're about to go through hell. But if anyway, so Robert Saleh is a way more successful defensive play caller, and coordinator than Mike Vrabel was. Mike Vrabel's a head coach only type of guy. And he just says that was an emotional decision that will bite them later down the road. I hope where he lands, he can destroy the Bills for this strategy. Talk about Sean McDermott. I've got more. Do you want to hear more? Do you want to hear more crazy stuff coming out of the Bills owner's mouth? Because this is even more crazy. This is the most. This is not. Jerry Jones is like, damn, he said that? Listen, okay? Terry Pagula, quote, the coaching staff pushed for Keon. He was not Brandon's next choice.
Oh, my
Brandon
God.
Was being a team player, end quote. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?
It is total hand of the king nonsense. This is hand of the king whispering in his ear.
Let me just read that again. And then I'm going to play Brian Daboll. Bills owner Terry Pagula. This is from Cam Wolf. Quote, the coaching staff pushed for Keon Coleman. He was not Brandon's next choice. Brandon was being a team player, end quote. If I'm Brian Daboll, I'm saying screw that. Screw that.
I would have a hard time working under a guy like that now that it is the way it is.
Terry Pagula is having a crash out. Somebody said in the comments that I'm like that one teacher that's one dumb comment away from the class from snapping on the class. Terry Pagula has snapped.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman's still on the team.
That's crazy.
For now. For now. God, man. These things are insane. I just want to go watch this. I'm going to keep following Terry Pagula comments. Oh, my gosh. I cannot believe.
That's wild. That's crazy.
I mean, Kevin Clark says, feel for Keon Coleman, but it's unfortunately a little fun. Oh, damn it. Hold on. My Twitter just refreshed as I was reading that tweet. Thanks for nothing. It's gone. I don't know if I can find it again.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's gone. I can't. I was gonna read a funny tweet, but now I can't read it anymore. Shade on Elon. Here it is. Feel for Keon Coleman, but it's unfortunately a little funny to be such a bust that an entire organization is arguing about who picked you. But look, Keon Coleman may be a bust. He ain't He ain't this big of a bust. I've seen bigger.
I did a draft live stream in 2023 saying, thank God the Titans were never in on Keon Coleman. So,
you know what? Keon Coleman was also, you know what Keon Coleman started? The big NIL transfer money.
Yeah.
Going from Michigan State to Florida State. That was the first of that. So Keon Coleman is going to be known for two things: blowing up the NIL transfer portal situation and blowing up the Buffalo Bills. And all he wants to do is have fun.
He likes cookies, so that's fair. Is this just turned into shade? Is this just shade now? Are we doing shade on the Wednesday instead of sports trivia?
I just cannot believe the things that are coming out of Terry Pagula's mouth.
Awesome.
Do we want to do trivia? I'm not prepared for it. I have to pull up.
We can.
I think we should.
Listen, I'm good either way. We don't have Ann here. Ann, once again, we are still in the. Ann is on IR. Ann is on her 3-month IR stint.
No, she's not on injury reserve. She is on the non-football trivia injury list.
She's on the pup list. She's on the
pup list because she's physically unable to perform because
to be present.
She is not here. Yeah, physically unable to be present. Yes, the pup list for perfect. Jason says, Austin, explain what just happened with Terry like I'm 5 years old. Terry Pagula, Bills owner, is having a press conference right now and has said some wild stuff about what's going on with the Bills. He said that the reason why Sean McDermott was fired was because of the result of the game in Denver. And then went into the locker room and saw how hard Josh Allen was crying and the other teammates that were crying, and said that they hit a proverbial playoff wall and had to fire Sean McDermott. Then, to continue to throw more people under the bus, he threw Keon Coleman under the bus to save his now promoted president of football operations / general manager, Brandon Beane, to say that Keon Coleman was picked by the coaching staff, not Beane.
And so by that logic as well, why would Joe Brady want to go back after he just Beane threw him under the bus as well?
Amnesia here is hoping the Bills keep that energy during the interview today. And Arthur Smith checking in, $1. You know how I know that's not the real Arthur Smith?
How?
Arthur Smith is the FedEx heir, and he ain't just dropping $1 in there.
Fair enough.
Okay. Are we ready for trivia?
Sure.
All right, let's do trivia. Wilson County Hyundai, you can make them a part of your new car buying process. You can see them in Lebanon, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. JT, I am being the button to share my screen now.
Load.
So we'll see what happens here. There you go. Okay. So we're all set here.
Lucas says, get live, everyone. No Google.
Yeah, get live, which means you hit the live button. If you're watching on YouTube, catch back up. Bjorn. Austin, Nico started NIL, not Keon. You're on drugs. Oh, good Lord. Do I have to do this real fast? Keon Coleman happened way before Nico. Nico got the first big contract of a high school player being recruited. Sure. What I said was that Keon Coleman started the first big NIL transfer situation here because he got a bag and a half to go from Michigan State to Florida State. So I am not on drugs. I am correct. Factually. Okay. Now we are on to the NFL. We go around the world counterclockwise and finish in the middle of the celebrity mashup. NFL. In January of 2019, what team did the Rams defeat in overtime of the NFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl? So this is the 2018 season.
It's Saints, right? Is that the because they went to overtime after that call? Yeah.
right? Ooh, we're getting Niners. Saints. NFL.
I think it's Saints.
Ooh, okay, got it. Bucharest is the capital of this European country. I don't know.
Belgium. I don't know.
No,
don't.
Isn't that correct?
Bustin' Diamond says Romania.
I'll wait for more. Hungary? Romania. TV.
Sure.
After Slumdog Millionaire, Dev Patel played Neil Sampat, an electronic media expert journalist and a blog writer on this HBO political drama from 12 to 14. I have no clue.
I see HBO political drama, and I think The Wire. So, but I have no idea.
Newsroom.
Bustin' Diamond. The Newsroom. Sure.
That is a great show. Is it the new? Yeah, The Newsroom is great.
Cool.
The highest grossing film worldwide was this 2006 action adventure sequel film starring Johnny Depp. Highest grossing film.
Got to be worldwide. Well. That's Johnny Depp at that time is Pirates of the Caribbean, and the sequel was Dead Man's Chest. I'm going Dead. Yeah, Dead Man's Chest was number 2. Yes.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay.
Number 2.
Music. What rock band releases 1971 song lyrics? Out here in the fields, I fight for my meals. I get back into my living. Teenage Wasteland. Boom. Boom. Boom.
The Who, says Sharman?
Yeah, it's the Who.
Makes sense.
Chain restaurants. The Flying Dutchman, protein style, lettuce wrap, and tomato wrap burger are bun-free options from the secret menu of this regional chain.
That's In-N-Out. I think it's in and like just one N. Like no in and then an N.
I got it.
Okay.
MLB. This 2015 Cleveland pitcher had an 18 strikeout game, the most by AL pitcher since 2000. 2015
Cleveland. It's like Bauer. Maybe the first year of Bieber. Who's the other guy? Kluber. Yes. Corey Kluber.
All right. NBA. Member of the Mascot Hall of Fame, the Coyote. Who's the Coyote? Western Conference team.
A Coyote is not a Timberwolf, is it?
No.
Okay.
Is the Spurs? Yes.
Spurs?
Yes.
Sure.
Celebrity mashup.
Oh,
2 guys. I know the middle. It's what's his name? Malcolm in the Middle dude.
He does look like Malcolm in the Middle. I don't know his name.
That's who he is. That's the guy.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yes, that's the actor.
Cranston? Cranston?
And Bryan Cranston?
That's 2 answers for Cranston. So rip it. Sure. Nice. There you go.
4. Great job.
Good end to the day.
Hey, look, tough board.
Yeah, very.
Right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think it's a tough board.
MLB. I should have had Kluber. I don't know why I went to Bauer first. I should have known Kluber.
I'm surprised the music question with the Who doesn't have a higher hit rate.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. That is all. We'll see you guys tomorrow on a Thursday. Buck Rising Live again for prime time tonight. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out the door. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of the socials. Follow us there. Follow us on Google because we have content galore on the way still, as always, because it is still coaching search season. It just depends on which coach you're talking about. So we'll catch you guys later on. Appreciate it as always. Thanks.